So good morning. It's Tuesday, the 25th of May. This is Subitha Bhagirathan, the networker covering Inner and East Bristol, working for CAS, Community Access Support Service. And I'm so lucky on this sunny Tuesday morning to have a bit of time one-to-one over Zoom with Tamadour Saliem, who I've been working with for at least the past 2 years, if not longer. But Tamadour, I know, also has a working relationship with CAS before I came along with my colleague Amran, who was in the post before me. And Tamadour has lots of roles, which I'll let her elaborate on, but I've particularly got to know you through Redcliffe, so through the Redcliffe Workers Gathering. That happens, I think, at least every month or every 6 weeks. And sort of through that, Redcliffe Women's Voice.
That's correct.
So, Tamadour, do you mind giving us a bit of an introduction to your group? So I think probably as a starting point, Redcliffe Women's Voice, although I know you're involved in lots of other things.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Subitha, and thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor to have like that one-to-one space for us. Especially it's been difficult to meet in person, but I think that means a lot to me. And you know, it's a sunny day, but we got to have the sense.
Yes.
So just as you said, I've been working in Redcliffe for almost 2 years now, and I've been working with yourself, obviously, and you get involved with us as different part with Redcliffe Women Voice directly, and with the Redcliffe Lunch Worker Group. But I guess I'm here just mainly to talk about the Redcliffe Women Voice. So it's a small group. We started like a local woman that they wanted to have a platform, and we know that Redcliffe as a neighborhood, they have a wide, you know, quite big community, like diverse community, but they're not quite connected.
Right.
So the idea was like to have a platform for women, especially from BME group, to come together and to have their voice and to speak about things that matter to them in their communities. And as part of my role as a community development worker, because I work for the Bristol City Council community development work in South Bristol, so my role mainly to work with and around the local group, empowering them and encourage them to take action in social action, or maybe to bring change that they wanted in their community. So yeah, this is where we started. So it was like part of my role, as well as I am from that community. And I'm from BME group, so I know that I've been working with them in different angles. So I know that they quite staggered, and they don't have like one space that they can come socialize or meet each other. So this is where the idea of having Redcliffe Women Voice started.
Thank you so much. And around what time, what year was that, Tamadour? Can you remember?
Yes, I do. I mean, that's back to March 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, this is when I kind of been assigned as a community practitioner in that neighborhood, and I got to meet other people, like local people from Somali and Sudanese community, where they had to share this, feeling with me. And it was like, alarming. Where can we start? What can we do?
Right. Thank you. So you've just sort of passed your 2-year anniversary, really.
Of course, yeah,
2019.
yeah.
And do you mind sharing a little bit about the ways that you work with CAS? So as I said a little bit earlier, I know that Amran, who was the networker in your area for CAS before I came along, I think you had a bit of you did a bit of work with her, and that was in real life, because that was before we had COVID and lockdowns. And then you and I have worked together a bit in the past year. Do you mind sharing some examples of how we've worked together so far?
Yes, sure. I think basically when I established that conversation with the community, because part of my practical work as well, to think about what other connection, what partnership that we can have with local organization, what a
Mhm.
specialist like local organization that can help communities and communities group. So I used to work in Wallace Spring Center as a health trainer, and I got a link and
Okay.
contact with Munira, so the lead of
Right.
CAS.
Yes.
So I contacted Munira at that time and I said, well, I need your connection and your advice because I do have a local group in Redcliffe, and we wanted to establish like a BME women group. But it seemed to me like women, they kind of have low of energy and low of confidence. So I would like to have that support so we can understand what is the barrier that stop them from participating, what other way that we can support them emotionally, mentally, to be able to, have their voices. So thankfully, Munira put me in contact with the new worker for CAS at that time. So it was Amran. So we're starting that, kind of conversation. We met different time, and then we put like a plan on how we're gonna establish that conversation with women, just slightly, without talking about the mental health, for example, but
Yes.
thinking about different way of empowering people and thinking about what do they think that value to them in their neighborhood.
Thanks so much for explaining that. I understand more. I didn't know all of that history of that you used to have a role based at Wellspring. So that's brilliant to learn a bit more about you. Hadn't
Yeah, at
expected
that
that.
time I
This is
was
great.
so like Bristol is like, wow, this is a small world, isn't it?
Yes.
I used to, I did work for Bristol NHS around 5 years, and my office based in Wallace Spring.
Okay. Yes, Bristol's a big city, little villages inside it.
It is indeed, it is.
And then so thinking back to kind of that early bit of contact with Umran, so Munira and then Umran, so in real life,
Mm.
how, well, hopefully it helped your role and Redcliffe Women's Voice. Can you share some ways in how you think it helped the group and your role with the group, having that contact with Umran, doing some planning together around sessions with the group? How do you think it helped?
It does help, and let me tell you something. To be frankly honest, it didn't work
Yes.
well in the beginning because
Right.
at that time, and I think we're learning from our mistake, aren't we? So when we started, me and Amran, we was like, we are trying to encourage women to speak about their well-being,
Yes.
to open up, but thinking about that way, this is our agenda, right? This is what we wanted to achieve down the line, for Amran as a CAS worker and for me as a community development practitioner. But I think we got it wrong in that stage because we didn't think about what the readiness of the group. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we did like some of the community development, which is reflective practice. We sat together, me and Amran, and we
Yes.
reflected in our first approach. We said, no, this is wrong. We are too far, ahead. So we got to take, this community step by step and actually led by their own interest and their own motivation rather than we coming with our own agenda. So we changed our mind of having like a mental health awareness day, and we're starting having a coffee like a coffee morning, just a simple coffee morning, like a drop-in.
Yes.
And this is where the conversation started, and we built that relationship, and we started speaking about the confidence and the need of the individuals to have like one group. So for me, that was like starting a new job, having
Yes.
Amran thinking about the wider, community development and how CAS can empower individuals as well as group. I think that has helped me to kind of articulate the way that we're gonna approach this specific community. And also sometimes you need to be you need to have that ability to do positive discrimination. So for me, the positive discrimination, it means like you understand what is the need of individuals or the group, and then you try to support and deliver your support accordingly. Yeah, so
Yes.
this is kind of give every individuals equal opportunity to access the service that we're having. So obviously the way that we treated women when we started is not like the way that I kind of supported women in Northwest or South Bristol.
Mm-hmm. A different a
Different
more
approach.
so not personalized as far as individuals go, but personalized thinking about different groups of people. That's such a powerful story you shared. I really appreciate that, and I think we all need to keep reminding ourselves of stories like that, of real experiences like that, and learning from them. About, as we get quite settled into our roles, we so often have our own agenda, and often because we're asked by the city council or by the NHS to run something, and it's easy to just rush into that.
That's correct.
And
Yeah.
not take the time to, you talked about reflective practice with Amran, and think and have the bravery to say, oh, we've not done the right thing. How can we made a mistake, and how can we learn from it? That's a really wonderful example, and it's really powerful. Thank you so much.
That in itself has developed the our connection with the group, and also it's empowered Amran and me to kind of explore different ways to engage that community. So it's not just about delivering information or giving that kind of leaflet. It's about, we are here, we're offering our resources to develop what suits you at the community. And I think that worked really well, because they said, well, in this stage, we wanted to develop our understanding and our confidence. So Amran and I, we come up with like a community practice tool, which is community asset mapping.
Okay.
Have you heard about community asset mapping?
Yes.
So within that, we do have like 5 H. We sat together, Amran and the rest of the group. At that time, we were just 7 member, right?
And she would come out to you locally, so like when you have the coffee mornings, it's in your area.
Yeah, we used to meet at the Faces Space, which is like a local community building. It's part from St. Mary Redcliffe Church.
So easy for people to get to from the local area, walking
at the heart
distance.
of the community. It is indeed. Yeah. So we did the individuals mapping, assets mapping, where each individual talk about 3 things that they are good at. So it doesn't have to be qualification. It doesn't have to be like knowledge or experience. Any things that you feel like you can teach it to other, you can share it with other, and you can be proud of it. Well, so that way, I think we started building that confidence.
Yes. Yeah, I can see how that could really work. That's really wonderful. I'm keen to try that again. I haven't done any work like that with people for a long time. It would be great to have the opportunity, as we go into more of an easing situation of lockdowns, to be able to do something like that. And can I ask you, why did you particularly come to CAS for this kind of support, this kind of partnership work? And sort of why have you continued doing that? Because I know you and I have done a couple of things together in the past 15 months virtually because of lockdown. Why have you particularly come to CAS?
I think there are a few reasons for that. Because I know that it's a local organization and it's quite approachable and accessible, by the community members and the communities group. And also, I think, the value of the support that CAS providing for BME group is quite, interesting. So I wanted to utilize that as a resources and to link it with the local community. I also think CAS, as an organization focusing in the mental health, I think mental health is a big issue for migrant community, including the BME groups. And that's like a massive issue which impact in individuals as well as families. And hence that will affect the community participation role in social action. So if you like, for me, it seems like it's starting from CAST to empower individuals to be able to bring that change in their social action, which is highlighting their well-being and mental health.
Thank you. That's really clearly explained. And my last question is wider than CAS.
Yeah.
And without wanting to ask you to sort of breach confidentiality, but if we didn't have to worry about budgets and government agendas, what might you want to see around mental health support, emotional well-being support for the communities and groups you work with in the future, or certainly, you know, thinking about, say, the next 2 years?
Wow, that's a very
It's a huge
interesting.
question, I
It is a
know.
huge question, and it is really interesting question, and I would love to answer that for the next 1 hour. But I think there is a lot of things that, you know, CAS can be doing and focusing mainly around, you know, like communities group, and let's say mainly for the area with deprivative, you know, community, because a lot of you know, mental health and well-being and behavior change needs time. So from my experience working with this local group, as we started 7 members and now we are 42 members.
Oh goodness, right.
Yes, that needs a lot of time and a lot of commitment from the staff, like myself and Amran at that time,
Yeah.
and the communities group themselves, like the individuals. But for the future, I think what it can be done through CAST, because I kind of seen the effectiveness of having a member of CAST involving in building and growing this group in Redcliffe, is to have like more elongated session, more long session rather than one off session.
Yeah.
And obviously that need lots of resources and, you know, personnel. But I think that would help a lot of this community group to grow and to change their, you know, understanding of what is the mental health issues are, and also find their way to kind of understand their, you know, emotional and well-being, and develop different ways and technique that they can come together and maintain that behavior to look after their well-being.
Thank you so much for managing to answer in less than an hour on that huge topic, and really giving a vivid example and something very tangible for us to think about.